We're joined on the line now, I'm delighted to say, by Alan Mangan, who's the Castletown-Geoghegan Senior Hurling Manager, whose side have just won the Westmeath Senior Hurling Championship for the first time in 5 years. Alan, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning, lads. Yeah, not too bad now. If it wasn't good this week, it'd never be good.
I was going to say, congratulations first off. People will be familiar with you as a footballer, a Leinster winner with Westmeath. How did you end up as the manager of a hurling team?
Well, to be honest, I actually played county hurling before I played county football, so we would be a very strong hurling area in Westmeath. Not so much for the football. I think the only person really before me would have represented Westmeath in football would have been Willie Lowry and Paddy Corker, and apart from that, nobody really else played football for Westmeath. So we'd be very strong area in terms of hurling. So I would have played an awful lot of hurling growing up, and never really played football at Westmeath until I was in my under 21, never played minor or anything like that. So I played hurling the whole way up, and then just fell into football then later on.
My favourite cliche that the hurlers have is anybody can play football who can play hurling. Any hurler can always play football. So you're just proof of it. Took it up at 21, kicked 4 points in a Leinster final replay to win the game. Thanks very much. No big deal.
Oh Jesus! I don't know if you watched the first day, you would know that I wasn't that good at all. Very quickly, I was carted off after 45-50 minutes the first day, so I got lucky the second day.
It's good to make amends, and good to make amends too. This, I think, as a manager, this is your third county final in the last 3 or 4 years. Is that right?
Well, no, it's in 2016 and 17, or 15 and 16, I managed Turles Pass senior footballers in a county final. Unfortunately, we came up against this strong St. Lomas team that are still at the minute, and we got beaten by 4 points the first day and 2 points the second day. So it was third time lucky for me in terms of senior county finals, I suppose.
Yeah, well, no harm. So you're obviously, you see parallels between managing football teams and managing hurling teams as well. Is it just about having a clear identity and everybody knowing what their job is and making sure that you get buy-in on that, or are there more specific nuances to it?
No, really. To be honest, I sort of trained the senior hurling team this year with, I had a great management team along with me. But we train them sort of like you train the football team. It's lots of short-sighted games, lots of condition games and stuff like that. So I didn't really change it up too much. We're trying to change football drills into hurling drills and vice versa if I was training football. So no, it's all about having the right group of lads behind you, and if they're willing to buy into whatever you're saying, you could get the results at the end of the day, which we did.
It's funny, Alan, when you I'm thinking of Mayo and teams losing finals, and from Castletown's perspective, they've been the bridesmaids quite often in finals. Like, looking back to the last couple of years, lost by a goal in 2019, goal after extra time 2020, and then by 3 points to Harney last year. As you say, you've come on board this year, but Clonkill, the team you beat in the final at the weekend, like, bit of a bogey team. I know you played them in the first round of the championship this year and lost by 10 points. So quite the turnaround to go from a 10-point defeat to winning the county title against them.
Well, true, but like the way the season was condensed for us this year, we ended up playing Sunday and Wednesday before we played Clonkill on the Saturday in the first round of the championship. So we had 2 football matches within 6 days of that first round at senior, and we got a couple of injuries. And then unfortunately Angus Clark in the first game, halfway through the game, tore his hamstring, and he'd be one of our more prolific players, let's say. And we got a bit of a trim in that evening, there's no doubt. And we sort of started off really bad, but we got it going as the year went on. And unfortunately, the footballers got knocked out in the group stages of the championship, and that sort of helped us get a bit of rest into the lads, and we could concentrate on more training, you know.
To another degree, then I guess you had the advantage of having a semi-final, whereas Clonkill were going that well that they were straight through to a final against yourselves. So I know you've referenced work rate and stuff in interviews before. Like, did having that semi-final give yourselves an advantage almost heading into the decider?
Well, it probably did, because Clonkill, unfortunately for them, had qualified for the county final nearly 6 weeks in advance of the final. Like, their last game was a dead rubber. I think they played Loughlin Gales, and Loughlin Gales were already out. But like, we qualified last year through the same route. We played a semi-final against Clonkill, and then we beat Clonkill and we lost the final. So people can say one or the other, but Clonkill sort of had a long layoff where they didn't have really too many competitive games, whereas we had quarter final more or less, albeit but name, against Pollard, and then we'd Raharney in the semi-final. So we had a good run into it, but we got better as the year went on. We started off poorly and slowly but surely got it going, and thankfully got across the line. Long time waiting, and the management team over the last 3 years were excellent, and just unfortunately they didn't get across the line, but we luckily enough did.
Can I ask you just how many senior hurling clubs there are in Westmeath at the moment?
There's 6 in Westmeath at the minute.
Right.
And what happens is you play everybody. Top team goes through to the county final, and second and third play a semi-final.
Okay, that makes sense. With 6 teams, it's like obviously not a massive pick of senior hurlers, and I'm sure there are some intermediate and junior hurlers who the senior inter-county management team are looking at, but like it feels from the outside that there's been something slowly, steadily building in Westmeath hurling over maybe the last 10 years really, but the results in the summer were maybe the best ever at a level that was sustained. Yeah. Maybe it's not the best ever, but certainly in the last 20 years there was like a proper sense of these games being competitive. The result against Wexford was sensational. Yeah. Do you feel that? Do you feel a part of that at the moment?
Absolutely. I was selected with Westmeath last year when we won the Joe McDonagh with Shane O'Brien, Noel Lark and Paddy O'Neill. I was selected with the lads last year, and there was a great bunch of lads there. Like there's like anywhere else, we have clubs coming in from intermediate and senior B that are producing players that are good enough to play with the county. Unfortunately, the other structures within some of the clubs is probably needs to be improved. But in terms of a county panel, there's some great hurlers in Westmeath. There's fantastic players. We've Killian Doyle nominated for an All-Star this year, and very surprised that Tommy Doyle wasn't nominated for him, to be fair, at full back. He's been excellent all year as well. I've been at nearly all their matches. So, no, there's great structure in Westmeath in terms of the county setups and the way the county board are working on improving players and stuff like that. So with a bit of luck, they might get another really good run at it this year, and if they can hold their own for another year, you never know what might produce itself in a couple of years.
And is there enough coming through at underage as well to suggest that this isn't just one group of players who've come through, that actually there's the beginning of a production line?
Yeah, absolutely. Like with the under-20s this year, like with 5 or 10 minutes to go against Wexford in the under-20 championship, there was only 3 or 4 points in it, and they were well in it, and we lay in a soft goal, and then Wexford sort of kicked on and won by 7 or 8 in the end. But there's a right good bunch of players coming through. Like I think this year, I don't think there was any under-20s played championship this year for Westmeath. So you have that group of players coming through to challenge Wexford all the way in that under-20. So if we can get 3 or 4 of them to pull through, and we've 2 young lads playing with us this year that were only under 17 last year, and David O'Reilly scored 4 points and played the other day, and Peter Clark scored 2. So there are 2 great prospects for the future just coming from our club, along with 2 or 3 other lads as well.
We're probably all guilty at the minute, Alan, of in the media of not giving enough focus to the club game, and it's probably taken more of a front seat, I guess, over the last couple of months, given the way the calendar has been laid out. Like you see so many stories. Like I know Niall O'Brien was your captain of the weekend. He got to lift the trophy, and he probably couldn't be captain the last couple of years because his dad was the manager and maybe didn't want to pick him as the captain. Like someone who's probably served Castletown for many years, finally getting the moment, and I can only imagine what it means for the people of Castletown as well to celebrate a win like that. So you almost forget these stories in the grand scheme of the intercounty game, but it's brilliant to see moments like that. The people of Castletown getting to celebrate, and Niall O'Brien getting to lift the trophy.
Absolutely, like everyone that knows Pat, like Pat was a big reason for us lifting the trophy this year. Like he trained most of these lads since they were under 12 the whole way up, and unfortunately he was there the last 3 years and they didn't get across the line. But we didn't have to do too much with these lads. They were well drilled, well trained by Pat before we even came along. So the good thing for Niall was that Pat wasn't there, that he got to captain the team, because Pat would never pick him as the captain, unfortunately. So Niall has been one of the best players in Westmeath over the last 10 years, and it's great to see him going up the steps to lift the cup. But in terms of teams, the way the club has been looked at the minute, I think it's great that we're getting a bit of focus on the club scene now. Like if we went back to the normal route of things, that the All-Ireland final would have been only played a couple of weeks ago, and we'd still be focusing on the All-Ireland football final rather than focusing on some of these county finals.
Do you take any elements of other managers that you've played under yourself into your own management? Like like even modicums of Paddy O'Shea's style and management from those glory days at Westmeath? Like, do you recall moments and things and team talk styles and that sort of stuff into your own managerial style, or how do you approach it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. No, I think especially Paddy and Tomas O'Flaherty and Michael Ryan would be three lads that I would really have focused on and what they were doing over the last couple of years in terms of me being manager. I would have wrote down a lot of things that we would have done at training, and some of the stuff the lads would have said, and try to use them and pretend that they're me on and they're not me on at all. But the lads, them lads were unbelievable. Sure, they were three of the best managers that anybody could ever work under. I think in terms of speeches, I couldn't really use some of the stuff. Sure, didn't Paddy give me a charge one day for being thrown out over the line like a loaf of bread? So
that was you.
That was me.
Oh, right. Jesus, you're famous.
That was me for being thrown out over the line like a loaf of bread. So, pardon?
Like a loaf of bread. That's an amazing speech, right?
Yeah, so I was the one that was on the front end of that. It was about 2 stone lighter than I am now, so people mightn't recognise me that much. But I still hear it to this day. If you go away for a weekend, someone will surely spot you along the line. Right.
What was that like, actually, when you were when Paudie's balling you? Because it comes out, the programme Marooned comes out after you've won something, but you're living in the middle of it, going, "Jesus, am I going to get dropped here?" Like, is this tough love from Paudie because he trusts me? He knows I'm going to take it right, or is it like, shit, what's going to happen?
Yeah, no. In fairness, now Paudie would always have said, "If I don't rate you, I won't give out to you."
Right.
So I came off, to be honest, I was taken off, as I said earlier, I was taken off after about 50 minutes of the first day. And I was very poor, extremely poor. And I went away and was thinking, Jesus, am I going to even start the next day? What's going to go on? But when he actually gave me the charge at training in front of everyone and gave Derek even, luckily enough, he came in after me, giving him a charge for not being tight enough. So I sort of got slightly away with it. It wasn't on my own. But I sort of knew that I was going to start the following weekend then, because he wouldn't have said anything to me at all if he wasn't going to start me. So I sort of had relaxed and trained well that week. And but it was a little bit of a kick in the arse, probably the kick in the arse that I needed, to be honest. So some things are said for a reason, and lucky enough I got away with that one.
Because, like, all joking aside, you did play really, really well in the replay.
Yeah, no, I played well in the replay. Played really well. I actually played really well all year, to be fair, leading up to it. And then, I don't know, maybe it was nerves got the better of me, but it was also Mark and Joe Higgins, and probably the best player, apart from Sean Marty Lockhart, probably the best player that I ever had marked.
No, we just lost the Skype connection there. It's unfortunate.
I've totally forgotten that he was the loaf of bread guy. That's it's just one of those things you forget in the annals of history as time moves on. But I can only imagine the speeches Paddy O'Shea gave in those dressing rooms. Like, just if you can't get pumped up for a match listening to Paddy O'Shea, then I don't think
I'd say we saw the best of them in the documentary. To be honest,
yeah. At least we got the insight.
Yeah.
Only for the cameras, you'd be in trouble because you'd be trying to imagine what it was like in those dressing rooms. But
Alan's back there now. Yeah, Alan, you were just saying Keith Higgins the first day, I think, or not Keith Higgins, Joe Higgins, was it you were marking the first day?
Yeah, I was marking Joe Higgins the first day, and he absolutely cleaned me out. There's no doubt. And then I had the audacity to think I was going to take Darren Rooney on down the line with a ball, and Darren left me nearly in the front row of the stand. So that's where the loaf of bread came out of. He drove me out over the line. So, but listen, apart from Joe Higgins, Sean Marty Lockhart, they're the two of the best players I ever marked. So I was lucky enough I didn't have to mark Joe the second day. Dennis Glennon was that good the first day. Joe had to go over and pick him up.
You probably had to mark John Keane quite a few times in training, I'd imagine, as well. And like himself and Desi now in the Westmeath Senior football job, like, were they two lads who you, in hindsight, look back and said, yeah, they were two leaders in the dressing room and probably inevitably were going to go on and manage Westmeath at some point?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, probably arguably two of the best players that ever played for Westmeath, if not the two best players. And it's great to see them involved. Like, it was a massive boost for Westmeath last year to get Desi and John involved the 1 year. It's not too often that you can get two All-Stars to slip into a setup the way that Jack got them involved. But listen, Jack did a great job with them over the last few years. They're on the up. They're improving every year. And with a small bit of luck, Des and John can bring them on to another level again. It's a great appointment. I know from talking to, I'd be very friendly with David Lynch. Obviously, he's from my club. And a few of the other lads I'd be still friendly with, lads. Kieran Martin and the likes of them. And they're really excited about the two lads being involved. And it's great for Westmeath that they are.
It's funny because Michael Duignan's involvement with Offaly, we all kind of pay a lot of attention to what's going on. But what's happened in Westmeath GAA in recent years as a dual county is at least keeping pace with what's going on in Offaly, if not outstripping it. Like, obviously, the footballers had an incredible year. And I think they kind of actually made the Tailteann Cup by the celebrations in a way. Like, the outpouring of emotion that they won a trophy, that team, and particularly some of those players who are all-time greats, that like they enjoyed that so much and took so much from it. It gives the whole competition this huge boost in terms of profile next year. So you guys are the club hurling champions. Like, not that there's expectations, but there's an opportunity for you to go on and I don't know, maybe do something for the rest of the year as well.
Yeah, well, listen, just in terms of the Tailteann Cup, it's great. It's a massive competition. It's absolutely brilliant that we have that competition to play for, and the lads are going to go on a holiday and enjoy it, and rightly so. The way that Westmeath celebrated, it was brilliant. Like, we were in Mullingar, and I remember standing on the sideline or standing on the side of the street, looking at it, thinking like there was memories of 2004 coming back to how mad it was. Like, it was absolutely crazy. And then you have the Joe McDonough from last year as well. There wasn't quite such big scenes, but it was close enough. It was similar enough in regards to that. And then with us, we have to play the Kilkenny champions down in Nolan Park now. And like, we're going to go back training this Sunday morning. We'll give the boys the week to enjoy the week. We'll go back training Sunday morning, and listen, no one's going to expect us to go down there and win, but we really want to go down and give a good account of ourselves, just to prove that Westmeath hurling is in a good place, not alone just the county team, but the club scene's in a good place as well. And we're hoping that we can give a good account of ourselves down there in 5 weeks' time. And if you never know, if Lady Luck shines down on us, you never know what may happen.
Well, listen, Alan, if you do get any Lady Luck, it'll be well deserved. Thanks a million for joining us this morning. You've been great. Cheers.
Appreciate it, lads. Thank you.
It's Alan Mangan there, obviously celebrating success with the club in Westmeath, and we'll obviously keep a close eye on that provincial championship as it starts.